lake that they probably got worms. It happens. It's not that they're being mismanaged or anything. It just happens. And they really need to pour some stuff on them to get rid of the worms. And we've got a couple that assume with a runny nose and stuff like that. You need to give them some antibiotics or something like that. And then we've got one that's got a foot that they're limping on pretty bad, and I don't see it. Doesn't look like a toenail issue. So we're going to put him in the squeeze and get some spots. Nice to look at his foot. Anyway, just trying to
Just
give
overall
him
wellness.
like a physical.
Yeah.
Do you think you pooped them out? And does it kill them? Or are they on the seat of Will's pants?
Gang's out here. Except for the black one is going to play with the
Kills 'em.
horns.
I know that much.
That's good.
No, we're going to poop them out.
Yeah, where they go from here, doesn't matter, as long as they're dead, I don't care. It still like his mom have been able to nutrition him enough to where, or it's not her fault.
I don't know that she doesn't have worms.
That it can be passed on.
And that she doesn't have enough to nourish herself and him.
Well, you were saying that some of the moms look very skinny.
There's a couple of moms to me that look poor.
Daddy never warned anybody, did he? Daddy never warned anybody, did he?
I doubt it. I think he did a lot more than we knew he did. And I found bottles of antibiotics and stuff out there.
Page 80. Tennessee stealing the blue roses story. What is pleurosis? Inflammation of the pleura. What is the pleura? Membranes around the lungs. Lau Leverage's Tom, the unknown Tennessee Williams. Submission of the self to flame. Favorite song was Danny Boy, Geraldine Fitzgerald. Once made up a song when his dad went out of town, about missing his dad. I did the same. Titus Andronicus was his favorite. Page 71. The Appalachian Club was full that summer, the boys that I couldn't keep my eyes off as they lay sunning themselves on the rocks in the stream. On the way there, the girls retired to change in one place, and I went with the boys who stripped naked in front of me, and I stayed in my wet clothes until they undressed me. Nothing happened of a scandalous nature, but their beauty is indelible in my prurient mind, and also their kindness to me. In a letter to his mother, page 90. Dear Mom, I'm dead tired. It is after 11 o'clock, and this Biltmore bed looks as seductive as paradise to the damned. Page 94. His phobias about the processes of thought. Page 136. Sleep and death get entangled in his mind. As for me, certain camp times were fun, but usually it was the Methodist ones where I met Will I liked best. Then, certain camps would be the awkward collision between the Methodist crowd and my schoolmates, like when Will attended the 4-H retreat to Boone, North Carolina for skiing. The Proud Boys also attended. That first afternoon, I skied down a slope with Will, and he wiped out behind me. I didn't realize until I'd rounded a bend, so I hugged the mountain to stop me. A long time passed. Finally, 2 Methodist girls, Quinn Stanley and Melissa Jackson, skied past, shouting, "Will is hurt." They couldn't stop their skis to say more. 4-H kids are used to leading their cows around a flat rink steadily. Nothing like skiing. I unclipped my boots and ditched my poles, then trudged up the slope where Will, off in the curved distance, lay fastened atop a stretcher sled. He'd fallen, and the ski of a passerby had struck his head. There was a laceration, but by some providence, the passerby herself had been a doctor, one who thankfully could stop herself in skis. The doctor had asked Will what his name and who the president was, but Will had answered in reverse order. "But correctly," she added. "That's just him," I said. By this point, the stretcher sled was carting Will through snow to an ambulance, and already I'd thought of Ethan Frome. I saw a spot of Will's blood in the snow and thought of Ethan Frome again, and the red bottle breaking in that scene from Ethan Frome. Google searching, Ethan Frome meaning. Will made it out from that day okay, and I remember Quinn and Melissa and other Methodist girls at the base of the slope, congregated in tearful prayer, which I joined. Later, I remember the Proud Boys. They called each other Proud Boy, retold. "Yeah, Melissa came up crying about how Will's head was sliced. I just looked at Proud Boy. We just laughed." Realizing I was too near to them when they said that, which means I was neither butch nor faggoty enough at that time, not yet threat enough, to keep them from speaking such murderous things, and so felt complicit. Cue that spring I wore the dress Will made me to prom, and that whole Googleable affair. T. Williams's mind was split. T. Williams's mind was split. He could swing so abruptly from shame to pride, so extremely. I really am like him, but I cannot be him. I want to get out with my beliefs still intact. No doubt, this will require my sustained efforts to avoid the terrifying mystery, as he terms it, of the complexity of human thought. Thoughts like righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, for example. Example mine. Like when I'm tightening something, it's like righty-tighty, but while my thumb is going one way, my index finger goes the opposite, goes left in fact. Or like Granddad in the parking deck, circling down and down, but everything looks so similar. Finally, he signaled the gentleman, "How do I get out of here?" The metal chain on the gate too disorients when I don't just simply undo it. The transmission towers along the roadside I once said looked like big women. Cutting my shirt with the scissors at play school, disbelieving as I operated the machine they would do such a thing. God's forgiveness seeming too distant at times, I sought it by the same means from my parents. At 7, trying to confess to them my first shadow of a sex dream. Then there was the night they heard me go outside and found me sitting on the stoop, and the other night I didn't sleep because I had to read Peter Pan straight on till morning. Why, they asked? But how was I to explain to them that both times I feared I had accidentally entered a pact with the devil, wherein I pledged my soul to him if I did not, that first time, go outside and sit on the stoop right that very instant. That second time, read the entirety of Peter Pan, front to back, before sunrise. Dear Mom, I saw something happen just now, which made me want to write you. It really just happened. I mean, I'm still sitting in the driver's seat in the Publix lot after work. Sarah, a young woman, my colleague, has just ended her shift too. Her mother is here to pick her up. Sarah is carrying a nice pink purse and says softly, "Hi, Mom," but the mother does not notice. The mother is not a bad mother, or if she is, I don't know it. She is simply distracted like anyone, and that doesn't make her bad. Sarah gets into the passenger seat, and her mother gets into the driver's seat. I don't really know exactly why I'm writing you about this, except to say I'm thinking of you, and I want to say hi, Mom, and wish you were here to pick me up. I believe Sarah is autistic. She is not sociable when we work the same checkout line. Whenever I say thank you, she does not look at me or respond. She bags the groceries automatically. All the while she seems preoccupied. On break, she has a Simba doll from The Lion King she rubs against her chin and cheeks. Anyway, Mom, I just wanted to write you to say that I think you have been a good mom. I know it has been difficult with Cody and Fred and me sometimes, but especially now. But especially me. I know you've had to recalibrate many times over. You have done so with enough grace each time. I hope someday to thank you in some way, adequately. In the meantime, here's this letter. I'm sorry it is on the back of this receipt, which additionally, I am embarrassed for you to read. I love you, Bart. Dear Cody, I would very much like to see my portable Dorothy Parker again when you're ready. Please don't just gift it to the Salvation Army like you did last time with my screw tape letters. Rather, a novel idea, return it to me. Would be nice, but importantly take your time, in no real hurry, as ever, your brother Bart. P.S. So sorry to have written this on the bottom of a back of a receipt. To whom it may concern, at permissions at Penguin Classics Deluxe Editions. Please kindly, when you receive this, consider. I am hoping to fashion a poster for a play I'm writing in the likeness of the book cover of the 2006 edition of the portable Dorothy Parker, artwork by Seth, to whom I've written separately. If there's any concern as to the nature of this poster, or for that matter, the product it will serve to promote my play, I am happy to send along a mock-up of one, excerpts of the other, or both. However, I should emphasize, neither yet is completed in full. I would appreciate just a simple okay or no-okay response via mail. Would be nice. Yours respectfully, Bart Holomew Air. Dear Seth, I'm a tremendous fan of what you did with the cover for the portable Dorothy Parker and the Amy Mann record, Lost in Space. May I flatter you for a moment still further? I'd very much like to design my poster for my new play in a style much like yours, so that the impact of your work upon mine, upon my play that is, and perhaps also implicitly, the impact of Mann's and Parker's work upon my play will be intelligible to passers-by on the spot. Passers-by on the spot, I do declare, 'tis pity I am so clumsy with words. Forgive. I've been at it all morning, and now it's the day's nadir, at the nadir of the month, at what is certainly no less than nadir of the year. Damn an eloquence. Do, Seth, say yes. It's not. If not, here's mud in your eye. Kidding, although not about the rest. Awfully, your fan, Bart Air. P.S. A stamp for your reply is included. Dear Cody, truly I meant it when I said no rush about the Dorothy Parker, and no, heavens, I did not expect it was you who was taking so long with it. I assumed it was my bright niece who was reading it all along, and I understand that, bright as she is, our Molly might require more time with DP than, say, you or I, or even our brother Fred might, presently. My, look at my punctuating. I fell into that sentence as I wrote it, adding marks as footholds at every turn, a cry for help, ah. You can tell I get nervous, / how nervous I get. Look, now I have eroded the face of the rock entirely. This is why I write plays, sister, and not letters, and also why I keep a nerve calendar, because I'm not supposed to write at all on a day like today. Say your letter came. We'll try again later, as I'm too addled to go on now. I suppose I'll send it to you all the same, so that you can see your brother Bart. Fridge. This finally came. I'm not discouraged, but... Mew, Mew, Mew. Hi, Mew, Bart. Of course, I remember you. Would be pleased to have you stage the new play in the Fellowship Hall, of course. But first, we must check to make sure that it purveys a sound message of faith, though surely for you that will not be a problem. Kindly send it along. Truly, Mrs. Delsey. Dear Mrs. Delsey, I was so delighted to receive your response. I have tried to fax an excerpt of the script to you as requested, but I worry, this is my first time faxing something, and I worry it might have come out on your end looking like this. Serpent head placed on mannequin, semicolon, stage, numbers 1, 2, point, and 4, turn to number 2, exclamation point, Layla FL, comma, LS, parentheses, 5, Tage bowed, number 2, takes 1 big breath, early falls, dot, the others catch him, dot, lay him on the stage, 11, TT, semicolon, TEM, colon, A, PNEQUIO, decaps, burlap onto something very rank. Is that what it looks like on your end? If so, I'll try again tomorrow. Sync, your Bartholomew. Since, your Bartholomew. Short, sincerely, your Bartholomew. To read ASAP. Glass Menagerie, Streetcar, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Orpheus Descending, Battle of Angels, Suddenly Last Summer, The Rose Tattoo, T.W. wrote this for his partner Merlot, Camino Real, Night of the Iguana, Sweet Bird, 2-character play, with check marks by Glass Menagerie, Streetcar, Cat on a Hot Tin, Orpheus Descending, Suddenly Last Summer, and Sweet Bird. And note, counseling this week moved to Thursday, 9 o'clock. Today, Ocean proposed, next time you find yourself spiraling out, instead of just giving into it, here he called me a mouthy person, though I think he meant wordy. Since you are a mouthy person, instead of saying, okay, here I go again, like that Dolly Parton song, try a little mnemonic device. Think, okay, here I go, design, he sung. Here I go, design. Make something out of it, he said. Rather than just sitting there, stewing in it, channel it. Similarly, in the past he suggested I try body euphoria in lieu of body dysmorphia. And writing all of this with a sneer, I realize I really do think it's good advice. My assignment was to look at myself in the mirror, tell myself what I like about myself. He said, if it leads to masturbation, good. Ocean is critical of my camming habit, of the apps, and of prep. I didn't challenge him too much on any point. His identity seemed so decided to me, earned, not fabricated so much as built. A fairly hunky-daddy Christian witch from Atlanta, Ocean lived through AIDS and knew Ricky Wilson from the B-52s intimately. His parents were sex educators, Episcopalians, with who he took no issue. Methodists, yes, I take issue with Methodists, he said, before immediately apologizing. When I said I wasn't offended, that I was hardly even Methodist any longer, he said, did you grow up Methodist? Yes. Baptized? Yes. Then you are Methodist. The Methodist baptismal rite is binding, and that is hard to unbelieve. Something so ingrained, he said. Here, I said, I disagreed. But Ocean, here, I said, I disagreed. But Ocean said, "Wait until I'm on my deathbed, I'll see." Ultimately, he said the best for which I can hope now is to be a Christian witch like him, albeit in my case, Methodist. More on this next week, he said. We are out of time. Afterward, I re-downloaded Grindr in the bathroom, but it was all the same people nearby. Kay was in his regular stall at Home Depot, his foot tapping, no doubt, while A was in his stall at Barnes & Noble with a copy of The Hours on the floor. That was his signature. I thought it might be nice to see A, but by the time I got to Barnes & Noble, he was already gone. "Blew my load," he wrote me, "against the stall door, so I went to find the stall so I could look at the load." Personally, I did, as a youth, have a sexual awakening in a bookstore, a Books A Million. In the photography section, at the time it was very disturbing to me. I think I was 10, a gay erotic photography book. I'm surprised they even stocked it. Ever since that big Christian bookstore chain closed, the Books A Millions have started to play more, at least in Georgia, to that crowd. Lifeway Christian, that's what it was called. It would appear Books A Million bought up their stock. I went to one of those stores once on the hunt for books about the secret gospel of Mark, the gay gospel. They had none. But I remember that day because this was the night of Boy Ball, the year Boy Ball fell on Lazarus Saturday. I remember because we hooked up with Francis Ethel Alcohol Gum that night and missed Palm Sunday service the following day. Francis had to get to Greenville for an Easter pageant, and I remember we accompanied her to the bus stop. She didn't know whether she would have time to change later, so Francis boarded the Greyhound in her Mary Magdalene garb, saying she would do her makeup on the way. I'll have to find that journal entry later. That was a beautiful, sexy night. Will's dirty talk not quite withstanding. The standout moment was when Francis performed "Were You There When They Crucified My Lord" in the buff by the lamplight of our nightstand, her breasts and cock a-swinging. Found the entry. Rereading it feels just exactly like I remember it. April 14th. Some really tender things happened regarding Boy Ball / Lazarus Saturday. I'll go in the reverse order because I think it'll serve the flow of my thinking. First, sex with Francis was really nice. I mean that it was tender and sweet and felt really good. I hope Francis felt so too. I think maybe we were all a little shy at first and we'd been drinking, but eventually we all came. My favorite part was when Francis fell asleep on my chest while I was rubbing her head. She had an Easter pageant to make, she kept reminding us. Don't let her oversleep. She has tattoos, but I really didn't stop to consider them. People don't really get tattoos for other people, do they? Will was determined with his dirty talk, which I'm okay with, calling me a slut, that kind of thing. But I worried about it at first with Francis. Francis was apparently okay with it too, even dished it herself some, but I lost my boner for a moment, fretting Will might offend her. I think I worried mostly for selfish reasons because what was happening in the room was gentle, and I wanted to press into that. Why make it like we have to be tough when this is really what it is? For me, that night was, about the sex anyway, repertory. I just wanted to go there even further with it, where we seem to be headed naturally, to safety. Safety is complex, I recognize, but here I mean it in its most obvious, uncomplicated sense. Even campy violence I wanted excluded here. What led up to this, I think, maybe, why I was so protective of the three of us fucking, is how stressful certain other parts of the evening and day were. The old queens at Boy Ball, in their minds still B-O-Y ball, not B-O-I ball, Jacqueline, etc., were criticized publicly by the young queens, so there was already a contentious air throughout 40 Watt, an undercurrent of mutual disapproval between the two guards, especially after Jacqueline made a joke about inappropriately touching her audience members, which lately she was criticized for online. People booed. The mood didn't restore itself after that. A Michael Jackson impersonator came on, then Francis Ethel Alcohol Gum, for whom I pushed my way to the edge of the stage. Francis performed Juice by Lizzo, interspliced with lines from a recording of a speech by Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. It stole the night. I couldn't stop cheering. Before that, I'd been researching the secret gospel of Mark, trying to see if Lazarus could have been the boy in the linen garment. The one Jesus fucked, after all. A wonderful thought, though I found nothing at all to support it. And George and I went to eat at the taqueria close to the Christian bookstore. I thought I would pop in for a moment just to see what was there. What ended up happening was that I got pretty fucking triggered. Homophobic shit abounds in the Lifeway, including guides for curbing porn addiction, an epidemic apparently, for men. Plenty of anti-choice propaganda, too. We heard this woman talking on her phone. She kept saying, "I love you," and "God bless you," to whomever she was speaking, and a man in there was walking around. I just wondered when was the last time he masturbated and how did he feel about it. That store, Lifeway, the whole chain is closing down, luckily. That's the platform supporting political right-wing terrorism right there, in a nutshell. Thank God it is closing. Thank the literal God it is closing, I said to Will as we left. At the taqueria, a man wearing a motorcyclist leather jacket sported a sticker that said, "Liberalism is a mental illness." Later in the mall parking lot, a truck bumper sticker read, "Bring masculinity back." Will laughed at that, but I just couldn't. I felt no gumption, like he, still ready as ever, to hit up Vicky's sex shop for a mesh top and shamelessly to pick up sock garters from Joseph A. Bank. At Vicky's sex shop, pop country played over speakers. Vicky herself stood outside smoking. "I trust y'all won't steal from me," she said. "Is that a stolen dildo in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?" We laughed. Will replied we were just happy, and he was really happy, and I found I was too again. At the menswear shop, when we asked about sock garters, the clerk corrected us. "Sock suspenders?" he said. Will leaned against my shoulder, whispered, "Suspenders are still fetish gear, so either way, he doesn't win." He went on to speak loudly in the checkout line about Charlotte Rampling and the night porter. It is so funny to picture Will in the checkout line at Joseph A. Bank on that Lazarus Saturday, or outside the dressing room at TJ Maxx on a given day, clutching 2 armfuls of everything from a crocheted wool cardigan to, I remember once, a robin's egg blue Bettina blouse. Meanwhile, at Barnes & Noble today, after wiping A's semen off the door, I could barely look the clerk in the eye as I bought my Harper's Bazaar with Taylor Swift on the cover. I sort of fumbled with my cash, noticed my hand shaking. The Harper's features a conversation between Swift and Patty Boyd. Walking home, I pictured carrying the Harper's back for Will, announcing myself in the apartment doorway. "Honey, I'm home. Oh wait, that's right, I'm not married." That was a specific reference for us. Michelle Pfeiffer says that line in Batman Returns. Coming home from her thankless job and her murderous, sexist boss, she announces to her empty apartment daily, "Honey, I'm home. Oh wait, that's right, I'm not married." Turning my key in the lock at the apartment, I tried it. "Honey, I'm home. Oh wait, that's right, I'm not married." Had to shake the Harpers in the doorway to ward off Miss Kitty. It was her dinner time, and she heard me climbing the stairs. I opened a can of liver pate and set it on the coffee table, then doubled over the seat cushion of the armchair so I could sit without getting prodded by the raw spring. "See, Taylor Swift loves biographies too," I told Miss Kitty. "Wonder if she's read Edie." Miss Kitty did not look up from her pate. However, now she is sitting on my lap.
And well, they were the best thing. The buns are steamed.
Would you get 3?
Yeah, always got the Dollar Tree. Always got 3. And they came with mustard, ketchup, and onion.
Look, there's what I think.
Yep.
Very nice.
And the buns are steamed, and the hot hot dogs cooked on that rotisserie thing. It just rotated around, and it was evidently was a good beef hot dog or something. Go in there and have 3 jumbo hot dogs. I mean, you could eat them in just 2 bites. God, it was so good.
I still make my veggie dogs pretty regularly. They're good to me.
They're not bad at all.
I tell you that. Did I tell you that Bartholomew Air texts me sometimes, and I have never texted him back. Every once in a while. And you know, he sent me a letter. I don't know how he got my address.
I didn't know he sent you a letter.
It's kind of weird. And then the last text I got was probably a month ago, and it came at about 12:30 at night. And it just said "Will?" ? Strange.
Strange. Cops a little strange. Who knew? Thought he was alright for a long time. I think he's a little strange.
He might have just gotten stranger. I mean, I think he was.
Dear W. Dear W. In the script so far, the stage is set up like a catwalk. I still have to order the akiklama, as the church doesn't have one. Did you know it is called that, by the way, an akiklama? It's Greek. You say runway in the theater world, you look like a novice. It can also be called a tongue. I know, the cabaret format is not what we envisioned, but it's better for the church if they get to call it dinner theater, so we met in the middle with cabaret. Musical numbers are TBD, as they were not part of our original conception. There will be eating, but the kitchen staff supposedly are fitting the food to theme somehow, so that's nice. I suggested they keep the menu items as soft as possible, fish, cheeses, out of consideration for the actors. Speaking of actors, Will, you are just going to love little you. He's 7 now, but he plays you at 5. We get him for 1 hour every Tuesday after the children's choir practice. He comes on stage in scene 1 in the wedding dress, and your grandmother is right behind you in her housecoat, holding your wedding dress train. We are still casting your grandmother. She was too special not to get perfectly right. I don't know if you ever feel like this now, but it occurs to me how everyone who used to take care of me no longer does. Not out of carelessness, not because they have all gone away or died necessarily. It is more that I've gone, too often, past the point where the railroad tracks don't run anymore. Solitude attaches itself to me. I bring it home. The same sort of souvenir as a genie's lamp, it starts to trouble my sense of the dimensions of things. It makes the room bigger. Sorry, Miss Kitty has just hopped off my leg, causing my pen to skip. Skip, as though this pen produced music. Would be nice. Oh, now she's run off to your studio, where now I keep the litter box. You asked, does Miss Kitty still look for you? I want to say yes, but to move the litter box would be the true test. Really, she was just asleep in the basket on top of your Vogues. Can you imagine? A stack of Vogues in a basket makes for a nice bed. Imagine the drama of our life together, but from Miss Kitty's perspective. That's the scale. Scale it to that. Miss Kitty sees us more as, what, trees? Trees, she might see more as buildings, a building as a forest as a kind of plane. I mean dimension. The forest as a dimension. And see, I can tell I'm about to fall into it, thinking, because I get so confused about dimensions. Because if I'm a tree, and a tree is a building, as I've traced above, then a building really is a bunch of trees. As such, it is a forest. So I am a forest, just as I am a building, as well as a tree. The tree Miss Kitty sees when she looks at, well, now she only looks at me. But imagine when she had to look at both of us. Whenever we fought or made love, forest, building, tree, a piece. Remember how if you left a shirt on the floor, Miss Kitty would move to the shirt, to that very spot on the floor, and cover it? She would stretch her whole body over it. Or another example, if I leave some paper out on the bed, that's the spot on the bed she's drawn to. Like the paper is a bed on top of a bed. I wonder if this is her coping mechanism, how she makes everything seem smaller, more manageable. Like how Temple Grandin watched a cow step into a squeeze chute for its vaccinations and saw how the squeezing mechanism calmed them, and so she invented a squeeze machine for herself first, then for many others. I watched Miss Kitty shrink things for herself. I want to do the same for us, then for many others. If I can come up with something similar, but with shrinking. A paper tossed onto a bed makes a bed seem smaller. A shirt dropped on the floor makes the floor seem smaller. A stage certainly makes a floor on the floor.
Open up the bag. Me and my dad, 2 pals together, that's me and my dad, 2 friends. So I'm kind of picturing sort of like the staging. You know, you have this little clearing over here. But I thought this would be a good place. Yeah. So I'll kind of be like up, you know, I'll sort of be like up here on this. And then, you know, we sort of process up the... I'm sorry I'm so late. Yeah, I mean, mostly covers by other singer-songwriters. I do a big Gilbert O'Sullivan thing, and then I just do stuff with friends mostly, but I mean, obviously looking to, you know, expand and yeah. I write the songs. I'm a little bit sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. So I'm just sorry. My objective for the occasion was to get lost physically, sufficiently 11 songs worth, but I needed more, something to quit. Sorry. My objective for the occasion was to get lost physically, sufficiently 11 songs worth, but I needed more, something to pair it with, a map or something in the woods by chance. Then I found a simple tool that I would follow, 11 pools of light, but on the very first track I stepped into a spider's web. It was a big pain of a web, so big I didn't see it. It exceeded my periphery widescreen. So then I took a step, it took the web with it, so I wore it like a cape. I couldn't help it, like a royal of the woods at her coronation. How it fell, the way it trailed across my shoulders like a veil, comprised my get-up until I brushed past enough hanging branches and stripped it away. Sorry, it's like a bit of a... Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, I guess that's probably... Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, great. Thank you. Yeah, of course. Thank you. Bye. Yeah.
When I put that, I had this feeling that when I was slipping the top back on the deal, that I was just going to write it in my hand.
Oh, yeah. I did wonder, I was like, at one point I was like, what would happen if, you injected yourself?
I asked Tyson today, and he said it's not a big deal. He said he has definitely shot himself numerous times.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't give himself the whole syringe, but he'll have a needle stick himself. So he knows that.
She just cut it in half.
Isn't that a pet?
Yeah. Sorry, Mom.
He's got a date pit there.
Take this. Don't they have something for this? Isn't this part of the machine?
Oh, like a little thing to push it in. And trash.
Oh, I thought Trey looked nice. Yeah, because you don't know you look cute in those pants. You had no clue how cute. I was like, how does somebody seriously not have a clue that they look cute? Oh, Mom, I got it.
Come on the other side so you can grab it for me.
Oh, I can do that. I thought that's because I might need to know how to.
Did you get it through?
Will, did you grab it? No, you don't.
Definitely I do now.
Okay,
Probably, right?
No, you
I don't?
If you pull on it, it'll come out.
Yeah, yank it from my fingers. Good. Oh, you got it. Yank it.
Is it pull?
Right?
Are you pulling?
Yes, pull it all the way out, Will. Pull it all the way through. So, Mom, I see that it's actually hooked right there.
Okay, we gotta fix that. Can you fix that?
Isn't that right?
Yeah, it needs, oh, there we go. Only thing we gotta do is
So you just put
go
it
through
there
this
and
little
then-
thing. Here, let me just have it.
I gotta do it now.
This actually just gotta go through. It's got to go through that little hook, get through that little thing right there. You see what I'm saying?
You can't do that.
Oh, it's wrapped. But you can figure it out, I think. Here. Just through this.
Nice, Mom.
I know.
Yes, that'll be great.
Where did it? So where did you
Perfect.
just put it through? And what's the red?
Well, it's the bobbin, and I'm not gonna change it
Oh, the bottom.
because I don't really remember how to change the
I
bobbin.
don't care about the bottom.
See, and do the bobbin part. Oh, there we go. Oh, you grab the scissors.